What's up, everybody? This is your boy Laurel Komolzak, and you're listening to the Socially Awkward Podcast, the keys to building relationships and connections in a virtual world. Socially awkward. Socially awkward. Let's go. I'm with my boy, Carrington Brown.
What's happening, beautiful people?
I'm with my boy Carrington Brown. I have him on as a special guest because today's topic is about to be crazy. So the topic today is recognizing red flags in relationships. But before we get there, I'm tired. Last night, bro. Last night we were. Have you watched this show, Bloody Waters?
Blood and Water. Yeah.
Blood and Water. So we watched season 1 when it came out.
Yeah.
We on season 2 now.
We ain't started yet.
It's good, bro.
Really?
That's really good, man. They get you. It's so long. Like the episodes, how they do it. It's so long, and then at the very end, those cliffhangers, whereby he's like, God,
You gonna do me like that?
You gonna do? I gotta watch the next episode.
Yeah.
And so it's late at night. I mean, you know, when you're tired, tears start falling down your eyes, and you start getting headache. That's how tired I was last night. But we were still watching. We had to just make an executive decision just to cut mid-episode. So we gotta go to bed. We can't keep doing it.
I feel you. We do that with All American right now.
All American? Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah, bro. We on Blood and Water in a second. We about to jump on that.
Hey, it'll get you there now. So yeah, that's what we on right now, and it's it's really good. This is where recognizing red flags in relationships and Blood and Water. You can
see them.
You can see them. It's clear as day.
100%.
I mean, my God, you know what I mean? So. Yeah. But yeah, man, tell me a little bit, bro, about what you do, who you are. I feel like the people need to know you, bro.
100%. So my name is Carrington Brown. I am a life coach, relationship expert, author, entrepreneur, a happy husband.
Come on.
Man of God, father. And so what I do is I work with primarily singles and assist them with healing and equipping them with the tools needed to create healthy and thriving relationships with the source, self, and then someone else. So yeah, I help people prepare for marriage by initially helping them deal with themselves to be prepared for that relationship that they desire to be a part of.
That's good. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you advise people before you get to the relationship or the marriage counseling piece? Do you advise them to seek individual counseling first?
100%. Because anytime you're a part of a relationship, you don't just, when you say yes to a relationship, you're not just saying yes. You're saying yes, but your issues, your trauma, your baggage, your addictions, they're saying yes too. And so I always advise people to do, even when I do premarital.
Yeah.
Like I say, hey, we can do premarital, but I also need to be doing individual work because we have to make sure that transitioning into this marriage and this commitment, you're not bringing all of that stuff with you. Okay. And the analogy that I use is like an airplane. When you get on the flight, they're like, hey, you bring your bag, but it has to be this height, this size, this weight.
For sure.
Anything bigger than that, anything heavier than that, there's an extra charge.
I hear you.
So it can go with you, but you're going to have to pay extra. Same thing applies to relationships and marriage. There's a certain size of baggage that you can bring in this. You want your bag to be empty.
For sure.
But there's a certain size of baggage that you can bring.
100%.
Anything bigger than that, you're going to pay for it.
Come on, man.
You're going to pay.
Right, you're right. So I said this, I might have ruffled some feathers in my last episode.
Okay.
I was talking about the 5 love languages.
Okay.
And how it's trash.
Really?
And we'll discuss more about, we flow, because this is what we do.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I feel the love languages are, though it's helpful, I say it's misleading.
Okay.
Because what we end up doing is we look at our love languages as a staple or as a measure, which is okay.
Okay.
But we end up finding ourselves in this parenting-child relationship. We seek the need of ourselves through the other person.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is, let's say my love language, which is words of affirmation.
Okay.
If I seek that through my wife, you're supposed to be sending me words of affirmation, but I haven't affirmed myself.
100%.
Now I'm just using her as an idol or as a parent to give me what I want.
Gotcha.
Because that's how I love.
Gotcha.
Not recognizing the origin and root of the issue of, is that even what you need?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the child needed when you were younger, that you haven't dealt with back then. That's coming up in your mature state in your relationship.
Gotcha.
So you're saying, oh, I need gifts. Well, why you need gifts? Well, I was poor. I didn't have none when I was younger. So you're telling me if I don't give you gifts, you don't love me? If I don't give you gifts, you think that I don't love you.
Okay, so I feel that. I definitely understand your perspective.
Yeah, you know what I'm
And
saying?
this how I got to navigate this.
Okay.
So I was doing an interview a couple months ago, and a young lady said, "Hey, what is the issue with relationships? Why don't relationships work? Why are people struggling so much?" And I said, people are miseducated about relationships. Their perspectives about them, what they expect from them, what they're looking for from them. A lot of people are going into relationships with vertical expectations and putting them on horizontal beings. You putting the responsibilities and the mission of God on human beings, and it's not going to happen. Went to a marriage conference, and Van Moody was talking. He said, there are 4 things that God provides you that you're supposed to have before a relationship, but most people look for them in a relationship. And it's, purpose, security, identity, and acceptance. Right? I bring that up because when I hear what you're saying and how you perceive it, I think that a lot of people are hearing it wrong. Right? When we talk about love, we got to look at the foundation of it, where it came from. But then we also have to look at the commands that's tied to it.
True.
Right? Matthew 22, Jesus said the greatest commandment is to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength.
Absolutely.
But equally as important is to love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Sure.
Which means that I have to love myself properly before I can expect somebody else to love me properly.
Absolutely.
Which means that when we look at the love language aspect, I need to make sure that I'm where I need to be within myself.
Absolutely.
Healed, whole, healthy, and happy, and loving myself the way that I need to before I try to project it or expect that from somebody else.
Absolutely.
Because then that's unfair.
Absolutely.
And you're asking somebody else to do something for you that you ain't even doing for yourself.
Do it for yourself. And then then you become selfish.
Exactly.
It becomes prideful.
So I understand your perspective. But they're still an asset, right?
Absolutely.
They're 100% still an asset.
sure.
But I'm with you. From that perspective, I definitely understand that.
And so I always say, like, there's truth in a lot of different things, but also if you look at it wrong, you can create idols out of certain things.
100%.
You know what I mean? You can create, this is horoscopes, or I'm a Leo. So because I look at what a Leo is, identify myself as such.
Yeah.
But you don't even know who you are. So you expected someone else to tell you, rather than you doing the research and putting in the work to figure out, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not as aggressive maybe I'm aggressive because.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe I'm extra, or maybe I go the extra mile because of such and such. And maybe I don't need to do that anymore. Maybe I don't need to assert my aggression to people when they disagree with me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't 100%. Need to do that now. I needed that to survive then, but I don't need that now.
And that's why it's so valuable to find your identity in a source rather than resource.
Absolutely.
Because when we look at horoscopes, it came from the stars.
Yeah.
God created the stars.
For sure.
So it's wisdom there.
Absolutely.
But to pursue that as if it's a religion or a belief system or it is your identity, it's an issue.
Absolutely. So you talking, bro. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you here. Yeah. That's why you here.
Man, that's funny.
But yeah, man. So red flags, man.
Yeah.
When I think of relationships that I've been in the past, even with Wanda, but specifically relations that I've been in the past that I've ran from, I've recognized relationships. One thing that I did, I was in a relationship for about 4 years.
Okay.
Off and on before Wanda. I thought I was gonna marry that girl, but there were so much red flags in there.
Yeah.
Like I was just pushing them to the side until it got to a point where I just asked God, Lord, talk to me. What am I missing here?
Yeah.
And He told me clear as day, she ain't it. Move on.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. And then all the red flags started popping up. He started reminding me. The crazy thing is they've always been there. I've always seen it, but I've ignored them. How do you recognize red flags in a relationship where maybe it's lasting too long? You need to cut it short.
100%.
You know what I mean?
I think the reason why people can't recognize red flags is because, one, they don't know what a red flag is. They don't know how to define a red flag. But I guess most importantly, they don't have a standard that would determine whether or not something is a red flag.
Come on, standards.
So this is the thing. So a red flag is a quality characteristic about somebody that is harmful, hurtful, danger, or opposing to your desire in a relationship.
Right.
Red flags. Well, there's 2 types of red flags, right? So so you got like the general red flags, but then you got like personal or specific red flags. General red flags are, hey, how they talk to you,
Right.
how they treat you,
Respect.
right? Are they ambitious? Their character, general.
Yeah.
But then you got personal red flags, right? So it's like, if you don't want somebody that drinks, drinking is a red flag for you,
Yeah.
right? If you don't want somebody who chooses to take part in, let's say, extracurricular activities like let's just say like rec sports because of the amount of time, that's a red flag on you.
Right.
Might not be for everybody, but that's for you.
Absolutely.
You can't determine a red flag if you don't have standards. Because what I was always taught that is if you don't know where you're going, anywhere is fine.
Okay.
If you don't have clarity about a vision for a relationship, what you desire it to look like, husband, wife, the qualities, characteristics that make them up, anybody's going to be cool.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
And so that's why a lot of people avoid, like run past red flags because of that. But then let's go to that internal piece because that plays a role as well.
That's the place.
That internal piece is the insecurity, the low self-esteem, the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself. I too, in the relationship that I was in before Ashley, it's funny, when I first saw her, like when she walked through the door, God said, "Don't do it, that's not me." I said, "No, God."
Why do we ignore it?
Look, I said, "No, God." I said, "God, this gotta be you."
That's me, right.
I said, because she looks exactly like my preference.
There it is. Your preference.
My preference. She looked exactly like what I prayed for. And I tell my clients now, like, because we talk about preference and stuff, I'm like, your preference is lust.
Yeah.
When you look at what you prefer, it's all about that thing that makes you the most aroused.
Wow.
Right? So it's like,
it's lust.
You pursuing your preference, but it's like, that's lust. Because it's all about you getting what makes you feel good, and what you're most attracted to.
Exactly.
So God said, "Don't do it, that ain't me." I threw it out. I'm like, "No, God, this got to be you."
Yeah.
I was sexually abstinent at the time, went out the window that night, got into this relationship, took 9 months to getting out of it.
Right.
Looking back on it, saw all the red flags there. Like everything was there.
Right.
Like flashing.
Yeah.
Right. Like you talked about Offset, like the alarm. Bro, the alarm was going off.
Sure.
But I wasn't trying to hear it.
Yeah.
So this is what it took for me. Sleep one night, having a dream. I had a dream. Walked into my apartment, and my room in my dorm in my apartment was like straight to the back.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. So I walked in, and I saw two of my teammates sitting on my bed, and like it was like they were watching TV. I'm like, all right, cool. So I walked in there, and I looked, and my girlfriend at the time was like stripping for him. And so I go off, turn up, we getting into it. We go into the living room, we getting into it. I'm yelling. And there's a door on in our living room that leads to the balcony. And so we argue and get into it, and then she runs out like the patio door, turns into a demon, and then fly off. Right? Crazy.
This is a dream?
This is a dream.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I ran out the door to the balcony, and I looked up in the sky. The sky was red, and it was just demons just flying around like it was crazy. And I woke up, I said, I get it. I said, okay, I get what you're
saying. That ain't a red flag.
Look, if the red sky is not the red flag.
If that ain't a red flag.
I don't know what it is.
Right.
And so it took me all of that in order for me to say, okay, I'm done with this. But what I realized is that the reason why I stayed in this relationship so long is one, because I had a hard time dealing with not being the one. I'm going to say it one more time because singles need to hear that.
Yeah.
I had a hard time dealing with not being the one.
Right.
Like I wanted to be the one so bad.
Yeah.
Had a hard time dealing with that.
Yeah.
But along with that relationship exposed the disconnect with identity that I was battling with. And that's what caused me to really become more introspective and assessing myself like, okay, Carrington, you're like this, you settle for this. Why?
Yeah.
What are the experiences? What are the moments? What are the statements? What are the comments that persuaded you to be okay experiencing this?
Right.
That persuaded you to be okay going through this? That deposited the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, which started my healing journey.
Yeah.
And so most people run past red flags because they hurt and they healed. So they can't even see right. Right. I took off my glasses because I didn't like the glare.
Right.
But now it's like I can't see nothing. And so most people, they this is how they are. Like I can't see nothing.
Yeah.
But they choose not to pick up the glasses and put them on to have the clear vision. Because if I really see this, then that's going to mean I'm going to have to leave this relationship. But this relationship is doing something for me.
When you said you can't see anything, it brought up to my attention like blinded by preference. A lot of times we get blinded by our preference. And before we get to preference, we've coveted. Because a lot of times our preference isn't what we really want, it's what we see other people have.
That's good.
And we covet it.
That's good.
And we adopt that as our preference.
Because of what it looks like.
Because of what it looks like. And we assume this is for me because this is how it should look like.
Yeah.
Because you've coveted something else as an example, as a staple of what it should look like.
100%.
That's crazy. Blinded by preference.
Bro, I have a partner, bro. Love him to life.
Yeah.
My boy. Hopefully he at the party. But he was dating a young lady, even proposed to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I didn't really know about her. I was questionable about her. Seemed like a good person, but it's like, good people ain't God people all the time.
That's true.
And it's a difference.
That's true, yeah.
And so one day I was just thinking about their relationship. I'm like, man, I think the reason why he's in this relationship because she looks like the type of woman that he should be with because of what he does in his industry and his title. Because he's a professional athlete.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, so it's like because he's a professional athlete, the women that they're with look like this.
Absolutely.
But here's the interesting thing. It's very rare that these athletes marry these women.
Very rare.
Very rare.
Very rare.
They get the attention.
Yeah.
They may get, flued out.
Yeah.
They might get the Birkin bag. They might get all of that.
Yeah.
But the commitment, the covenant,
Yeah.
they don't get that.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about being blinded by preferences, people are definitely blinded by that, but then also blinded by just peer pressure. Some, especially women. Women hit women hit mid-20s, and it's like, yo.
Yeah. My clock running out. I got to get.
Clock running out. Mom and them keep asking me, why you ain't dating?
Yeah.
Okay, when you going to get engaged? Okay, when you going to get married? Okay, when you going to have a
baby?
kid? When you going to have another kid? When you going to do?
Absolutely.
So it's like all that pressure comes in. And a lot of times women get so frustrated with that pressure that they say, you know what? Let me just get in a relationship.
Yeah.
Not because I want one, but I want to be in the right one. But let me get into this relationship just so they can shut up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of men, they do the opposite. Or, not say the opposite, but they do the exact same thing you're talking about. They feel pressured. Church boys. For me, I grew up in church. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
And I stepped outside of it for a brief moment, but at the same time, I knew how to get married.
100%.
Right? Thankfully, I wasn't that one that kind of rushed into it.
Yeah.
People would think that me and Wanda rushed into it after a year. We got married. I'm like, no, God told me that was her, and everything like whatever.
Same thing. Yeah.
But even before then, like a lot of men feel like because I'm in church, I got to get married. The Bible says marry or burn. You know what I'm saying? Paul tells me I'd rather you marry than to burn. And so in their mind is I got to marry because I don't want to slip up and fornicate and whatever. But I think even with that, when we're not careful, like you're saying, with knowing who you are, and if we're not careful, we'll end up in relationships ignoring all red flags, ignoring everything.
Yeah.
Just because you want to feel like you're in right standing with God. And this is hard to say.
Yeah.
Because our objective, our main goal is to be in the right standing with God.
Yeah.
But to what extent do we go outside of God's will to perform his will without consulting him?
Abraham. All right.
Okay, talk to me.
Hey, you gonna have a hey.
Talk
Angel
to
comes.
me.
Hey, you gonna have a son.
Have a son. Uh-huh.
You gonna have a son.
Uh-huh.
Then Abraham says, "This is taking too
long." Okay.
So because it's taking too long,
Yep.
let me help God.
Come on.
Come on. That's crazy.
Let me insert my will.
Let me help God. Let me help God.
Right.
The flawed me.
Right.
The undisciplined me.
Yep.
Unfocused.
Yep.
Irresponsible. Like, let me help God do his perfect will.
Yeah.
I'm imperfect, but I want to help the perfect God do his perfect will
Right.
with my imperfection.
Right.
Perfect plus imperfect don't make
It don't
perfect.
make perfect.
So that's what I think
Yeah.
about when you say that.
Yeah.
We're trying to help God do what he can do. But this is how I describe it with my clients, right? Because I had a client, and we started working together about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation about 6 months ago. And it was very emotional to her because she was just getting out of a situation that I told her not to get into.
Yeah.
But she had reached a point of 5 years of sexual abstinence, restarting her business, serving people, helping people, relationship with God, all that type of stuff. And she's like, why do I have to wait so long? And I'm like, because it's God's will.
Right.
But then I pointed out the practical stuff. you restart your business, but you're still growing, building, doing all this stuff. You don't have time for a relationship right now. Like, you don't have time for it.
Time, right?
So she ended up getting this relationship, situationship for like a year and a half. Told her not to get into. Afterwards, got out of it. Carrington, you was right, 100%. But this I need you to understand. Instant gratification delays true gratification.
That's good. That's so good.
That's what we gotta understand.
Good. Yeah.
When you instantly gratify yourself, you delay true gratification.
Absolutely.
If you got fitness goals, okay, boom, that's a long-term goal. Let me get this body right.
Right.
But then when that pizza show up, or them nachos show up, or that burger, them cinnamon rolls, and it's like, well, then it gets tested.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about this blinded by preference, when we talk about running past red flags, when we talk about what you just brought up, a big piece of that is discipline.
Yeah.
Right? I believe that God allows us to show ourselves why we're not ready for relationships by the relationships that we say yes to and that we say yes to staying there. Client I was talking to earlier today, still stuck on this guy, not in alignment with the non-negotiables, don't meet the standard, not a man of God, but she just so stuck on him. And she was like, you know, I did this and I did that, and he got the prize because I'm this, and this. Okay, there goes some pride and some ego right there. Cool. Then, you know, I save myself. I don't have sex. I don't dress like this. And I'm like, okay, got you. I hear you.
Yeah.
But your mindset is, because I'm doing this, I should have this. God, because I'm doing these works, I don't even line with the gospel. Because I'm doing these works, you should be giving me this. And what I said to her, I said, you ain't gonna like me, but if you have a question mark of why you're not married, just look at your relationship. That the thing that led you in there is exactly why you're not ready.
Yeah.
That pride, that ego, that seeing yourself as this individual, this high individual as a result of you thinking so highly of yourself.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm not going to go into details, but one of the challenges that we're working through is she has that perspective of finding value in herself as a result of her accolades. Right? Because of how she grew up experiences. So when she's speaking about herself and she's speaking about people, she's not talking about the internal qualities. She's talking about what they've done. What their name is.
Right.
And it's like, who cares about that? When you hurt.
Right?
Yeah. And so it's like, we as people, we have to become more disciplined. If you're single, you got to be more disciplined for sure.
You have to be.
In order to be at a place to where you don't run past red flags. Right. Yesterday I was teaching my group coaching, and our conversation for yesterday was Breaking Bad, right? Never seen a TV show. Hers about drugs.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either. Yeah, but everybody says it's a
hers about science teaching some drugs. But one of the concepts that I talk about in there, BAD is an acronym, BAD, and it stands for bold, authentic, and desirable. Because that's what men want in a woman. We want a bold woman, we want an authentic woman, and we want a desirable woman.
Exactly.
You can't be bold, you can't be authentic, and you won't be truly desirable if you're undisciplined. Even bigger than that, you can't be those things if you're disconnected from your true identity, low self-esteem, insecure, and you don't like you.
Right.
And see, that's the thing. It's like, singles, y'all really want somebody to like you more than you like
more than you like you.
And that don't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and it's really unfair.
Yes, it is.
It kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about the 5 love language situation.
Yeah.
You have higher expectations for this other person than you have for yourself.
Absolutely, 100%.
We can't do that.
No, and that's a red flag.
That's a red flag. And so that's the thing.
Yeah.
People run past red flags when they are the red flag.
Absolutely. Because they don't look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, maybe I'm the problem. And that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. I had to look at myself in the same way when I was in that relationship, and even after that, when I was just dabbling here and there, girl after girl after girl, like I was the issue. For me, I talked about this before. I think we've talked about it. My issue sometimes can be empathy.
Yeah.
And so I run away from getting too close because when I was too close, or when I was really close with my father, that was my ace, that was my guy.
Yeah.
He passed away. So
100%.
Now if I got too close, in my mind, if I'm too close to you, you may die, or you may, and so I may feel rejected, or I may feel abandoned, and I've left all of my cards on the table, and it's like, you took them. Maybe not intentionally, maybe intentionally,
Yeah.
but so empathy for me is one of those things where I'm continually working through. But I say that because a lot of times, like when we throw ourselves in the pot, we throw ourselves into these relationships, and then we get rejected.
Yeah.
A lot of us pull away now.
Yeah.
And so we jump from one thing to the next. And that's what I was doing. I was jumping from one thing to the next. And then what I ended up doing was I began to see red flags in other people.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that I was the issue.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the red flags. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. Oh, you trip. Oh, no. I was the issue.
Yeah.
I was the one not giving enough.
Yeah.
But I was expecting you to do all this stuff for me.
100%.
But I wasn't giving it. It's kind of like how, I don't know if you watch Married at First Sight. This guy named Johnny. Johnny is like that. Like, he's expecting you to do all this stuff for him, but he's a red flag because he has all of these expectations and preferences that he's expecting homegirl to be.
Yeah.
But he's not looking at himself in the mirror and said, man, you know what? There's something off. I'm not recognizing who I am.
Yeah. And so one of the worst mindsets you get into a relationship with is a consumer mindset.
Yeah.
What can you do for me rather than what I can give?
Absolutely.
I want to jump back to the problem piece and the idea that, hey, I might be the problem.
Yeah.
With where I am in my life, bro, and have been the past couple of years, I want to be the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be the problem.
That's good.
And that may sound crazy to people.
No, it's good.
But I want to be the problem.
Absolutely.
The reason why I want to be the problem is because if I'm the problem, then I can fix it.
Yeah.
If I'm not the problem and somebody else is the problem, then I'm giving them the power over the situation to fix it.
Right.
That's why a lot of people struggle with forgiveness.
That's good.
Because they're the
so
problem,
good.
but you won't take power and control over the situation.
So good, man.
Because they don't deserve my forgiveness, because they ain't apologized, I'm not gonna forgive them.
Bruh.
Well, you the one in jail.
Bruh.
You the one still harboring unforgiveness. You the one sick. You the one hurting.
Bruh.
So you haven't forgiven them because you feel like they don't deserve it. But what you gotta understand is that's self-hatred.
Yeah.
You're
for sure.
attacking
100%.
you're attacking yourself.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what you're doing. And so I want to be the problem.
Yeah.
Because if I'm the problem, then I can fix the problem.
Absolutely.
And so that's one thing that people for sure got to adopt. We have to be intentional and be okay being the problem.
Yeah.
Be okay not being the one, once again.
Damn, that's good. Be okay not being the one.
And that's a lot of people, it's like, huh? What do you mean? Like, that's a lot of pressure, bro.
Yeah.
If I'm entering into relationships with the perspective that I have to be the one, that's a lot of pressure that you're putting on yourself.
Yeah.
And you can't just be. Can't just be.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like you were saying, you mentioned about the source, like going to God and really, and that's how I knew when, from a man's perspective, pursuing the one, pursuing your wife, right? I realized that how I pursued women was different than how I pursued Wanda.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? My pursuit for Wanda was slick spiritual. I wanted to give up and say no because she was giving me the cold shoulder. She was trying to gird me like, nah, bro, like I'm trying. And she was like in the right frame of mind to say, I need to get me right.
Yeah.
I need to make sure my heart is right before I jump into any relationship. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I feel that, but I was a problem. But I feel that, but like I know you for me, so I got to jump in this water while it's, you know what I'm saying, while it's wet. I ain't in shallow. I'm trying to get in deep. Where we at? You know what 100%. I mean? And so I realized like God had to slow me down through her acts and through her behavior of her understanding who she was.
Yeah.
I was impatient, but God had to push me back and say, LaRocco, this is how you pursue spiritually. This is how you court. This is how you take control of your body, take control of your emotions, remove yourself out of it. Trust me and allow me to pursue you as you pursue her. I was like, God, you talking to me? Because during the whole process, I felt like God was pursuing me.
Yeah, that's good.
And pushing me toward her.
And see, when I hear that, bro, so when I do officiate weddings, you know, I bring up in Ephesians 5 when God talks about mutual submission glorifies him.
Absolutely.
When you talk about that experience you just had, without that experience, you wouldn't be able to mutually submit in the relationship.
Right.
And the reason why that's so valuable is because the two become one flesh.
Yeah.
Therefore, our minds our thoughts, perspectives, and feelings are only whole when we're in alignment, when we're together. And so in order for this relationship, this marriage to be whole, we got to reciprocate.
Yeah.
We got to be equal. We got to be on the same boat.
For sure.
And we have to move together.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of just want to go back to this healing for a second.
Go for it, bro. Talk to us.
And the reason why is because our community is just now getting to a point where it's okay.
Bruh, that's gonna be an episode, the effects of healing in our community. Well, for black men in general, but
yeah, bro. So it's like, I'm a life. This is what I tell people. So I'm a life coach. That's my title.
Yeah.
But I'm really a therapist. I'm just a life coach because I ain't got the certificate, the license yet.
You're almost there.
In the process, yeah.
Come on,
we gonna make that happen.
Right.
But it's so interesting because as black people, bro, we talk so much. Like we do a lot of talk, like a whole lot of talking, but we don't talk about what we need to talk about because of the false perception, perspective, and identity that we have tied to the false definition of manhood that we've been provided with. And so it's like to have conversation about feelings, emotions, struggles, we don't do that. To express, I'm tired, we don't do that.
We don't do it.
Because we feel like, hey, as a man, I don't have permission to get tired.
We work until our fingers fall off.
100%. Like when I'm working with athletes.
I got no shoulder. I know I need shoulders. I'll work until I got, until I got no shoulder left.
100%. I'm with you. So it's like when I'm working with, like when I invest in the athletic team that I work with, I let them know, hey, y'all don't have permission to get tired.
Right.
Like as an athlete and you're on the field, you don't have permission to get tired, bro, because you're an athlete. You committed to doing this, so you got to grind it out.
Absolutely.
But in life, we do have permission to get tired. And we get tired for a reason, which is why it's like God said, hey, one of the commandments is don't forget the Sabbath.
Right.
Like don't forget.
Don't forget to rest.
Don't forget that rest. Because you put in that work, and I know you're going to work, but I also need you to put in that rest. And so as men, we have to be more intentional about pursuing that communication. And that plays a role in me becoming a therapist, right? Because it's like black men need therapy all day, every day.
Absolutely.
But black men, they go sit down with a white therapist. And that's just the real. A lot of times they not. Because it's like there's a disconnect in your ability to really understand me.
Yeah.
There's a disconnect in your ability to really feel me. Not saying that white counselors or white therapists ain't doing their thing and certain people, but I'm saying like as a black man, a lot of us there's more desirable to sit down with somebody who can help me that actually look like me. Which is why we need more black therapists. So if you're interested, go do it. You feel me?
Absolutely.
But to bring it back to our topic of conversation, a lot of times in relationship, once again, like we are the red flags. And so we have to be intentional about doing the work on and within ourselves to get to a point to where we're not that. Like you have to. Like you have to, bro, like you have to.
Yeah.
Like you have to. Like it's no, like, I'm one of them guys, bro. I'm looking for the loophole.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the way. I'm looking for the shortcut. Like Spark Notes. I ain't about to read this book. give me the Spark Notes.
I live those Spark Notes.
Look, give me the Spark Notes. Let me get the. All right, cool. I'm gonna take the test off that. Let's rock.
Right.
Till teachers started going on Spark Notes and see what they talk about. They create the test off other stuff. They got smart. But I'm like, give me smart. Like I want to go the way around it. Cause some stuff you can go a way around some stuff. Healing is not one of those things, bro.
Yeah.
Broken people, hurt people are trying to create, heal, and hold relationships, and it's like you can't do it.
Yeah.
You have to prioritize you and do the work that you need to do within and on yourself to be who you need to be for the relationship that you desire.
Absolutely.
Like you have to.
Yeah.
Because if you were ready now, you'd have it now.
For sure. Come on. Now you're talking. People don't want to hear that though.
Or people don't want to hear nothing that's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
But nothing grows in the comfort zone.
No.
And so it's like, if you're unwilling to be uncomfortable, just don't desire. Look, if you want to be married and you don't want to be uncomfortable, don't desire marriage. Especially if you're a man.
Especially if you're a man.
Because look, you got to die, brother.
You're going to have to die.
Look, you have to die.
I was telling all my boys, I was like, yo, man, we literally, God's command for the husband is to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. This is the scripture. He tells us in Ephesians, he says that husbands are to be like Christ. Mm-hmm. Love your wives as Christ loved the church.
100%.
At the end of the whole passage, the Bible tells the wives to respect their husbands. But he doesn't give a call and demand for the wives to love the man the way Christ loved the church.
True.
Now, how does Christ love the church?
There we go.
He died on the cross, hung up, died, rose again. That took sacrifice.
Yeah. And
so what we do as men, as husbands, we die. We sacrifice to ourselves. That's how we show our love. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times we want all the needs. We have all these needs. Like, you gotta do this for me. You gotta do this for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, she working. Well, I need my needs met. Well, Jesus needed his needs met too, but he died on the cross.
100%.
He said, before he even got on the cross, but if this is your will, like, I prefer not to.
Yeah. Then pass
but
this cup.
You pass this cup. I prefer.
Yeah.
But if it's your will, let your will be done. I'll do it. And that's where we have to get to a point where we sit down and get on our knees and say, God, like, I prefer me to, you know what I'm saying, not have this thorn, or not the sin of this a thorn, but just not have this responsibility. But God said, no, that's your call. That's the demand for your life. That's your responsibility to have that responsibility to sacrifice. And that is a blessing.
Yeah.
Not a curse.
Yeah.
For us to love our wives as Christ loved the church. That is a blessing.
Yeah.
And a lot of men, we don't see it that way. We see it as too much work. It's a lot of burden. Well, he wouldn't have given it to us if we wouldn't be able to handle that.
True that. But then, so let me add a partner passage.
Okay.
To just pair with that. So, don't know the specific verse, but I know in Hebrews it talks about if you've come into the knowledge of Christ.
Okay.
And you're understanding of his sacrifice, and you still choose to do wrong, it says that you submit Christ to be crucified over and over
again.
Like every time when you know better and you ain't doing better, you send him to the cross.
Yeah.
So that to say this, you don't just die once.
Every day.
You don't just die once.
That's good.
Every time.
That's good.
Every time that you got,
that's good.
You just gotta keep dying.
See y'all.
Over
just
and
to give
over
y'all just to give y'all preference, like just before we keep going and listen, we be talking like this all the time. Y'all, for real, this is my guy. Like, we met. When did we meet?
A couple months ago.
When we first moved here in March.
Yeah, in March. Yeah.
So it had to be late March or April.
Yeah.
We was over a friend's house. He was like, we're going to invite some of my friends. And I was like, all right, cool. Sure. I don't know these guys.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know. And so we met and we said, we're going to go to the gym. So we started going to the gym at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Every morning hitting it, going crazy. Like for 2 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some real, like, we prayed together with some real talks. Like, I can legit call this my brother. Like, we talk. Yeah. Like, we ain't no playing around talking. Like, this is how we talk. How we talking to y'all right? This is how we talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? So, this is like real life for us and for real, like, but this dude is legit. Like, he's for real. Like, what he's saying makes sense. And like, we really have to die. And we talk to each other because we were both husbands. We both have kids, you know, all this stuff. And life is real. Life is hard for us, you know, for husbands. But we have to have community, right? And 100%. We have to die, like you were saying, die every day. That's what we have to do. We can't make it without dying.
Man,
and God's called for us to get back up.
Bro, I was reading, listening
to
a book. And the author in the book says, in order to live a life like Christ, you have to adopt a lifestyle like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so we look at, and then this is going to tie all of this stuff together.
Yeah.
From the red flags to the being of all of this.
Right.
So we look at Christ. Christ lived a life of focus, discipline, obedience, and submission.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why we run past red flags, the reason why we continue to be red flags, the reason why we're not okay being the problem, the reason why all of these other things that we talked about today is because we as men and women of God aren't truly submitted.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about submission, you know, you can go up and look up the definition to get it.
Yeah.
But this is the revelation God gave me about submission. Submission is the process of disconnecting yourself from everything and everybody that you find confidence and identity in outside of Christ.
That's good.
Whatever that thing, those things, that people, that idea, that gift that you find your identity in, that's really keeping you from blowing up in that thing.
For sure.
So if you find your identity in your singing, your singing ain't blew up because you find your identity in it rather than Christ. If you're gifted in sales, if you're a business owner and it's not blowing up, it's because you find identity in the fact that you're a great business owner in sales rather than Christ.
Right.
If you desire marriage, but you keep experiencing dysfunctional relationships, and you keep finding yourself in situations where you settle in these relationships, it's all a result of you not being submitted.
Yeah.
Because God says, I want you to have my best.
Absolutely.
I have plans to prosper you, give you hope in the future.
Absolutely.
I'm a good father. Matthew 7 says, hey, if you as a father, if your son asks you for this, you'll give that.
Absolutely.
So why would God not do better, greater, grander? So it's
Absolutely.
like the issue is submission.
Yeah.
Until you submit,
Right.
you're going to keep running past red
Absolutely.
flags. Because submission results in you knowing who you are,
Yeah.
standing by your standards, being confident in yourself,
Yeah.
being confident in Christ, and knowing and believing that, hey, if it's in God's will, it's going to happen for me.
Absolutely.
But then more importantly is that God's perfect will is the best thing for me.
Right.
So whatever he wants, I'm good with it.
Right.
We got to submit,
We
man.
got to submit. And I think that's where Paul says sometimes it's almost better that we are single. For those who are itching for marriage, sometimes it's better for you to be single so that you
100%.
can be fully submitted to him. Because when you get married, you start having kids, it gets harder and harder. I'm going to be honest. It gets harder and harder to be fully submitted to God because you're submitted to so many different things in your circle and in your community. So when you're single and understanding what red flags looks like and understanding who you are as an individual, this is the perfect time to grab hold of God so that he can show you who you are, so that you can grow and develop under him and grow in uncomfortable places, in uncomfortable situations and positions so that he can grow you.
100%. And let me just add this because
Yeah.
I know we about to close it out. Just some tangible, practical, recognizable things that you guys can do proactively to avoid yourself from being in a relationship where you ran past the red flags, right? First thing you need to do is heal, right? You got to heal because heal is part of the preparation.
Right.
And preparation matters more than getting the prize. Because if I get the prize and I'm not prepared for it, I'll lose it. Right? So be intentional about healing.
Oh my God.
Invest in a coach, a therapist, counselor, somebody that you can, a journal, right?
Yeah, journal.
Somebody or
Right.
something that you can invest in to really express yourself, get yourself off, and then heal.
Yeah.
Another thing you need to do is you need to reconstruct your relational beliefs. You need to ask yourself, okay, based on what I was exposed to through parents, friends, and family members, what did they teach me about relationships? What did they teach me about love? And then go to the Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4-8, and ask yourself, hey, based on how I've been educated about love, does it align with what God says love is? And then adopt that.
And adopt it.
Right? But here's the key.
Okay.
Here's 2A. Because that was 2, here's 2A. 2A is this. When you recognize there are differences, you adopt the qualities and the belief that, hey, no, this is what love is. And then you apply it
Then you apply it.
to you first.
That's
You
good.
apply it to you first.
Say it again.
Then you apply it to somebody else.
Right.
There's a reason why when you're on a plane, the steward is doing their thing, and they're like, hey, your pressure get low, drop down, put the mask on you first.
Right.
Because if you ain't taken care of, you can't take care of nobody else.
Right.
So you need to love you first before you love somebody else and expect somebody else to love you, right? So boom, do that. Next thing we got to do, you need to learn from your last relationship. Most people define relationships as failure because of their perspective. Hey, it didn't work out how I wanted it to. When in actuality, it was God's perfect will for it not to work out like that. But it's your responsibility to take the lessons learned from that experience,
Absolutely.
apply those lessons, and then move forward in future relationships with those applied lessons so you don't make that mistake again. So learn the lesson from your last, apply them, move forward. Random one, right? But stop giving up the buns.
Come on.
Straight up. Like,
Come
keep it to
on.
yourself. Stop sampling
Come
yourself.
on.
Stop just having sex.
Come on.
And the reason why is because it's creating soul ties, and soul ties creates dysfunction for your future.
Yeah.
Right? Point blank period. Stop having sex. Keep it to yourself. Next thing is this.
Come on.
Two more for y'all. Two more
on.
for y'all. Next one is this. Create non-negotiables. Because
Nice.
non-negotiables, and I say 5. No, forget 20. We don't need 20. Get 5 non-negotiables, and these are the 5 qualities that somebody has to have
Yeah.
in order to move forward in a relationship with you. The reason why non-negotiables are necessary is because, one, they're your minimum standards.
Yeah.
In order for somebody to move forward with you, you have to have these things. This is your 70%.
Right.
If you check off these are your 70%. So you passing. So let's see what you can add to the 70 by who you are, how we grow. But then along with that, the reason why non-negotiables are valuable. I guess part 2, 4A, 6A, whatever we are. But non-negotiables help you avoid relationships that won't bear the fruit that you desire to experience.
That's good.
When them non-negotiables in place, you won't run past red flags. Because you say, hey, these are my non-negotiables. I've already done my healing, so I'm confident in myself. I love myself, care about myself. These are my non-negotiables. If you don't align with these, if you ain't checking out these, right, I ain't even about to waste my time or your time. You feel me? Get you some non-negotiables, 5, and stand by them. Last thing is this: be willing to wait for what you want rather than settle for what shows up. Most people's mistake is, hey, I desire a relationship so bad. This person just showed up. They meet 3 of my non-negotiables. They meet 4 of them. They meet 2 of them. So let me at least give them a chance. For what? If the non-negotiables are the 70%, why are we allowing somebody that made a 23 on the test to go with everybody else that passed the test? That don't make no sense. Be willing to wait for what you want rather than settling for what shows up, with the confidence that God is going to bless you with the promise of a husband or a wife if he gave it to you. Bless you with that promise that he gave you, because he can't lie. So if he gave you that nudge, if he gave you that desire, if he gave you that want in your spirit, if it came from him, it's going to happen. Right. But it's your responsibility to prepare yourself for when it happens, so that you're who you need to be and the version of yourself that you have to be to not just experience this blessing, but steward it as well.
Y'all, if y'all don't get healed by now, if y'all don't get yourselves together by now,
get some healing.
Y'all, this has been, bro, this has been really good. I knew I need to have you on here because I told y'all season 2 is gonna be ridiculous. I told y'all I wasn't playing. I wasn't playing with y'all. Listen, I'm so glad we had you on, man. Like your perspective, what you do as far as helping relationships. Tell people what you do. Like, tell people how they can find you if they need help with their relationship.
So if you need help, just hit me up on Instagram, right? I'm at The Carrington Brown. I have a link in the bio where you can schedule a free consultation with me. It says 15 minutes, but it really go about 20, 25 minutes. Because look, this is like my overall mission in life, y'all, is to make family normal. Like husband, wife, son, daughter, whatever you have as kids. But like my mission is to make family normal. In order to do that, we have to be healed as people. And so I desire it because I never had that. Like I grew up in a broken household, broken family, single parent, seen trash dudes all my life, like all my life. Never had a good example of man, husband, father. And so I had to figure it out. And it was hard to figure it out. And I made a lot of mistakes. Thank God for my phenomenal wife for practicing radical acceptance and giving me that. But it's like I've had to figure it out. And because I didn't have it and I recognized the pain and the trauma that resulted from that, I don't want other people to go through it. And so my mission is to prepare y'all and equip y'all, help y'all heal so that you can create that healthy family dynamic so that in your family and in your bloodline, the legacy is changed.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Broken household divorces out the window. Right. Healthy marriages, healthy relationships. We talk to each other properly. We work together properly. Our kids are all in the same house. Ain't no baby mama, ain't no baby daddy. We in here. Like that's what I do. That's what I do, y'all. So if you want that, but then along with that, if you about that action, come on. If you're willing to put in that work and you don't have a victim mindset, let's put that work in, all right? Just go to the Instagram. Once again, I'm at The Carrington Brown. Click that link tree, schedule a call, and let's get working.
Follow this man. Follow his wife. They're beautiful. They bring out beautiful content. They are amazing. Amazing. 2 adorable kids, and maybe a third on the way. We don't know.
Don't do that, bro.
We don't know what the Lord has in store. I'm not going to do that because my wife talking about another kid right now. I'm just like, Lord Jesus. No. I don't know.
I miss sleep. I'm good on another kid. I miss sleep.
I barely get sleep now. She's talking about another kid. We may consider it. I think we talked about it a little bit today. But y'all, follow this guy. Make sure y'all get his information. I'll have it in the screen. I have it in the description. It's been a wonderful time, bro. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Everybody get about on with our day.
I feel honored.
Hey, I'm honored to have the Carrington, the Carrington Brown, The Carrington Brown. But yeah, it was a great perspective, man. Great discussion. We gotta have you on again for part 2 or something. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you, bro.
You know what I mean? Talk about something else because this guy, he's a relationship guy. You know, he be talking. No, for sure. But thank y'all for coming on. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment. Tell your friends, family, your auntie, uncles, cousins, all of them. Tell them about it. the Socially Awkward Podcast. We in here season 2, y'all. Peace.
Peace out.
Socially awkward. Socially awkward. Let's go.